Hello, Sarah here from smallbusinesssarah.com. I really think you are going to love your Etsy bookkeeping spreadsheet, so let me show you exactly how to use it. So when you first open it up, you're going to be brought to this profit and loss screen that's accumulating all of the information that we are going to be entering into the spreadsheets each month. So let's go ahead to a month, and we'll walk through exactly what you'll do. So basically, we just need to record all of the expenses, all of the transactions related to our business. This is a little bit easier to do if you do have a separate checking account for your business. In that case, or a separate credit card. In that case, you would just need to get your statement at the end of the month and add all of the transactions to this spreadsheet. If you are still mixing business and personal transactions in your personal financial accounts, that's okay too. You're just going to have to be a little bit more careful that you don't miss anything. So in that case, maybe set aside all of your receipts for the month for anything related to business purchases, or at the end of the month, get out your personal checking account or personal credit card statement and go through making a note of any items that were actually for your business. Now, right now we're dealing with just transactions that happened outside of Etsy. We're going to do all of Etsy at the very end. So I have a couple sample data that I created. I'm going to add that here. So basically throughout the month, or at the end of the month when you're looking at statements, you're going to record any purchases that you made for your business. We've got Office Depot. In our example, we're going to pretend that we're making jewelry and selling that on Etsy. So Becky Nunn is a supplier of jewelry related items. We've got the post office. We've got Marmalade, which is an Etsy SEO tool. We've got PicMonkey, which can be used to create thumbnails and things like that. So once we know all of our purchases for our business, let me first fill in some random amounts. I'm, of course, just making up numbers so that we have an example. So let's go over all of the category choices. Now, these are fixed choices. You can't edit these, but they are the categories that I see most often used with my Etsy bookkeeping clients, where I do their bookkeeping for them. So advertising and marketing. Now, keep in mind, this is all outside of Etsy. We're going to do Etsy as a unit later. So this would be maybe running Facebook ads would go there, or maybe getting business cards printed from Vistaprint or something like that. Cost of goods sold we're going to use for all of our raw materials purchases that go into making our products that we sell on Etsy. So this spreadsheet is going to be on the cash basis of accounting, which basically means we're not worrying about inventory that you have on hand throughout the month. That just adds a level of complication to the bookkeeping. And from experience, the more complicated your bookkeeping, the less likely you are to do it. So the cash basis of accounting is what most people are using anyway. And that means that if we purchase inventory items, that we're going to categorize them directly to cost of goods sold. So in our example, we are a jewelry maker on Etsy, crafter. So all of our beads, all of our bezels, all of our chains, all of that is going to be categorized to cost of goods sold. If you do print on demand, maybe through Printful, all of your charges from Printful, those would also be categorized to cost of goods sold. Education and training, that would be any course you might buy or maybe an ebook related to your business. Graphic design would be maybe the purchase of a font or an image, or the use of a software for graphic design purposes. Legal and professional would be if you use a lawyer or an accountant or a tax professional. Office supplies is what it sounds like: pens, paper, ink. Online tools, programs, and subscriptions, those are just kind of like the monthly online services that you might be using to run your business. Possibly you have an email newsletter service, things of that nature. Postage and shipping, so this is anything outside of Etsy that is postage related, so any extra trips to the post office. Shipping supplies would be the cost of boxes, tape, things of that nature. Taxes and licenses would be any tax you pay to the state, maybe use tax, a business license renewal, things of that nature. Tools and materials would be items that are related to the production of your products, but aren't quite cost of goods sold. So in the case of a jewelry crafter, it would be those little pliers and clips and things like that that you use. Website expenses would be if you are creating a website off of Etsy, and so you might have hosting fees, you might need to pay the website designer. We're going to do all of the Etsy stuff at the end, so we'll go over that later. Other income is going to be things like if you make money outside of Etsy, so maybe affiliate income or maybe from a craft show. You can't change the name of other income, but you can kind of just designate in your head, okay, other income A is my affiliate income, other income B is my craft show income. Same with expenses. You can't change this name, other expenses, but you can put the same type of expenses always in other expense A and other expense B. So let's just go through and assign a category to each of these expenses. So Office Depot, we purchased office supplies. Becky Nunn, we did cost of goods sold. I can also, instead of using the drop-down arrow, I can also just start typing. So post office is going to be postage and shipping. Marmalade is going to be online tools. And PicMonkey is going to be graphic design. And let's just do one from scratch. Let's do 1/18 of 22. And let's say we had to do our state license renewal. Okay, so that's all there is to it. Any purchases we make for our business, we're adding them to our chart. And each month, all of these months look exactly the same as this. So if we take a peek at our P&L, which stands for profit and loss, which you can see up here, in January, we're starting to have some figures. We've got our cost of goods sold, which is shown up here. And I'm going to go through this at the very end. We've got all of our expenses that we've added right here. So it's working beautifully. Now we need to worry about Etsy. We can't just record our Etsy deposits directly to this spreadsheet and call that our income. And the reason we can't is because each deposit is made up of a bunch of other types of fees and expenses. Let's go to Etsy to take a look. So from the dashboard, we're going to go to Finances, Monthly Statements, and I'm going to use my March of 2022 data, but I'm going to put it in January. You would change this, if you're doing January, change that to January, and I'm going to go back to March. So this is the activity feed on our finances summary. And periodically, we will have a deposit. 68 cents was sent to the bank account. Woohoo! So on your bank statement, you're going to see that 68 cents come through. And it's very tempting to just, okay, I'll just record 68 cents as my Etsy income and call it a day. Well, we can't do that because the 68 cents is actually a result of a sale. There's some sales, refunds, fees, and then what's left over is what gets sent to our bank account. So what we want to do is we want to separate out all of those different elements so that our spreadsheet is as accurate as possible and we have a much better idea of how our business is really doing. Also, if you get a 1099 at the end of the year from Etsy, which many of you are likely to receive at the end of 2022, your figures will not tie to the 1099 if you're just recording that deposit directly to income. So what we're going to do, we're going to use this breakout of information that Etsy provides, and this is what we're going to add to our spreadsheet. Okay, so let's start with sales at the top. Now we have a refund, which there's a little bit of a trick that we have to do. So our sales figure that we need to arrive at is the $23.60, but that is less the refund. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull up our calculator. We're going to take $23.60. We're going to add back our refund of $2.95, And 2655 is the number we're going to use for our sales figure in our spreadsheet. Now, I know what you're saying. Well, that 2655 is right there. Why did you have to calculate? And that is true. In this example, I could have just used the 2655. However, a lot of you are going to have some gobbledygook down here. It's stuff related to VAT, things that Etsy's collecting that they don't remit to you, etc. And that influences this figure, but it has no bearing on our actual income that we got from the shop. So that's why when you're calculating your sales figure for the spreadsheet, you have to take this figure and add back refunds. That's the one little calculation you need to do. So let's head over back to our spreadsheet. So I'm going to do this. It's as of the end of the month. So as of 1/31, I would wait till the month would end, and then I would add in this information. Now, like I said, I know I'm using March figures. You would use January figures, but I wanted an example that had the refund. And I'm going to choose my category. So the first thing I'm going to do is my Etsy sales. Simply just called Etsy sales, and that is the 2655 that I calculated. Once again, at the end of the month, so I would wait till the month completely ended before I did this. Otherwise, you're going to be missing out on some information. So you would do this February 1st or later, and of course you can go back in time. Now let's do our refunds. Now you'll notice that I'm not worrying about putting these in as pluses or minuses. That's because the formulas that we have set up for the profit and loss page are going to know how to add and subtract all of these figures. So we can just enter them in and we don't have to worry about that. Let's add some more dates. Let's add some more as Etsy. And let's keep going. Back to our statement. So we've already done this box. All you're going to have here is your sales and your refunds. Let's move on to fees. Now, if you want, you could combine all the fees into one line if you would like, and just stick it on Etsy transaction fees. We're going to show you the breakout, but you can choose whatever you prefer. So the first breakout is listing fees. That's going to be $360. So here we go. Here's our listing fees. That was $360. Next, we have transaction fees, and we've got some credits going on here. So we're going to take the minus $135 plus 15 cents. So that gives us $1.20. If you notice, that's a minus and this is a positive. So you add those together and then we get the $1.20. So once again, it doesn't matter plus minus, but we just net those two figures. And that was transaction fee. So I'll just start typing. And that was $1.20. Processing fees, once again, $1.80, 34 cents. So in this case, I'm going to do 34 cents minus $1.80 equals $1.46. Or I could have done $1.80 minus 34 cents, $1.46. Either way that you think about it is fine. Just net those two figures together and we get our $1.46. Moving on. Marketing. So we're just going to take the grand total of the marketing section and we are going to add it to our spreadsheet. This time, let me kind of show you if you wanted to do the drop down way. All of the Etsy items are together at the end. So we're going to have Etsy marketing, $4.29. And then if we were printing Etsy postage labels, we would just take the grand total of here. This shop just sells digital download, vintage digital downloads, so there is no shipping that has to be done. But if you were using Etsy postage, which I did when I was shipping products, we're just going to do Etsy shipping labels, and we would put an amount here. In our case, I'll just do 0. If you have 0, you do not need to do this. So once again, I think we've covered all of our Etsy categories. We have our sales, our refunds, listing, transaction, processing fees, marketing, shipping labels, and that's everything. We've covered everything with Etsy. So once again, let's go over each individual page. You're going to take all of your purchases that you made through the month, either by looking at statements or saving your receipts, and you're going to add them to this page by month, January transactions, February, March, etc. And you're going to give them a category, the best guess that you have. It doesn't matter too much. You could put graphic design to online tools. It's fine. Or PicMonkey to online tools, I mean. It's not going to be the end of the world. It's up to you and what feels right to you. We don't need to worry about pluses and minuses in the amount column. And then at the end of the month, so I went to finances, monthly statements to get here. And in February, I would run my January statement. I'm going to use the little caret symbol to show like the breakout of each figure, and I'm going to use this page, and this is the only page I need to use to get all of my Etsy information into my spreadsheet. And the reason why we need to do this is because we can't just use the deposits from Etsy because they are sales less a bunch of these fees, and that's just not going to work out. So when you are doing your spreadsheet, you will run across Etsy deposits that have hit your business checking account or your personal checking account through the month. You need to ignore those. Also, if Etsy charges your bank account or your credit card because you went negative, sometimes that happens. Your payment account has gone negative for a while, and so Etsy charges your bank account or your credit card. Ignore that as well. What you would not ignore is if you made a purchase from another Etsy shop. In that case, you would add, Etsy purchase maybe, or the name of the shop, and you would include those transactions. Other than that, any Etsy activity that hits your bank or credit card, we're going to ignore. We're going to capture it all at one time at the end of the month. So remember, for our sales figure, you're going to take $23.60 plus the refunds. If you don't have refunds, then you can just use this number right here. Fees, you can break them out, net the credits in with the fees. Or you could just take this total and put that on a transaction fees line. That's perfectly acceptable. Marketing, we're going to take this figure, postage, this figure. All right, so we're done with January. And I know I've been talking a lot, but if you were doing this yourself, that would go really fast. So now let's see what it looks like on our profit and loss. And our profit and loss basically tells us how our business is doing. Are we making money or are we not making money? It's an important report. And then this is what you're going to use for your taxes at the end of the year. It's all going to be right here. Because at the end of this, I know we're looking at January, but you'll have this is compiling your full year results too. And this column, you're going to have it all nice and ready for your taxes. It's going to be a piece of cake. All right, so Etsy sales figure is the $26.55. minus the refunds. You'll notice refunds are in red. That's because they are calculating as a negative, even though we didn't put them in as a negative. So that gives us our total income of $23.60, which is that figure right there. Moving along, in accounting, after you have your income, and if we had other income A or B, that would be added in as well. After your income, that's where you do your cost of goods sold figure. And so that's why it's appearing there. That's just standard accounting practice. So we spent $253.87 on raw materials that we needed for our business. Next, we get to our expenses portion. So we have our listing fees broken out, transaction, processing, marketing, and if we had shipping labels. So total Etsy fees totaled $10.55 for the month. So that's this plus this is going to be your $10.55 in our example. And now we come to the rest of the expenses. So this is everything other than Etsy. You can see our graphic design amount, our office supplies, etc. for our total expenses figure. And we've got our total expenses right here for a net income of negative $408. That's no good. I kind of want to be able to show you a positive amount. I'm going to pretend, just for our purposes here, we actually sold $926, just so I can show you a positive example. Now that says $900. Excellent. Less cost of goods sold. So gross profit is basically income less the cost required to make the products. Gross profit. Then we total up our Etsy shop expenses, our other expenses, total expenses, and then we get our net income. So we're taking our income minus all of our expenses. That gives us our net income. And that's the number people care about. How much money am I making? And that is your answer. That is how much money you made during the month, cash basis. One other thing I wanted to show you is that if we made another Office Depot purchase for another $25, actually, let's say this time it was Staples. We come to the profit and loss. Office supplies is now $50. So you don't need to aggregate by category here. You can add each individual purchase, and that's going to be aggregated on this spreadsheet for you. And then you'll just do the same thing for every month of the year. And then, like I said, at the end of the year, you're going to get your grand total figure. So this column is adding up all the activity that occurred throughout the year. And that's all there is to it. You just enter in your expenses, enter in a few numbers from your Etsy shop payment account, the dashboard there, or the finances page there. And then you know exactly each month whether you're making money or not, and you have your figures ready for taxes, and you're going to be in great shape. I hope you really enjoy using your Etsy bookkeeping spreadsheet, and I hope it provides a lot of useful information for you as you are running your shop. And if you are doing this timely, you can use this information to adjust and make changes for your business and make sure that you are getting that nice net income at the end of the month.